for Big Paredes, who stoops to conquer. But then tragedy at the other end would be coming on. This one is beautifully saved by the keeper, Boero. Darwin doing beautifully well, and Marcos with a good hit here again, streaking in. Lovely balance. Goalkeeper does everything. It's too hot to handle, pushes it down. This one is an astonishing strike from Ceballos over the distance, beats the goalkeeper but doesn't beat the upright. They were so close, going on and on with the bravery, their vision, their team togetherness. But then this one comes back, and it's a good shot in, but tragedy, Phil, for poor Leon.
Leon,
there's
the little
slip.
mistouch.
Yep.
Marcos sending it back into the middle. In my mind, Cueto maybe over pursuing that ball for Marcos. Could have been in good position, but as you point out, they're kids.
Really. And the thing is, it was his little slip, but he's the first one back. He's the first one behind his goalkeeper on the lane, and then it cannons off him to try to put it away. He cannot get out of the way. But at least for us, it's brought this game back level, and now the Brazilians starting to believe. But they better be careful, as this Ecuador side has shown enough fizz and punch, as much as the classy boys from Rio have, and that's for sure. Murillo was absolutely wonderful everywhere on that left side. Young Jacob, and on the other side, Johnny Uchari. He's been the man of the match for Ecuador. A lovely little number 10. Plenty of fizz.
The 2011 tournament. Neymar leading all goal scorers with 9. Only Hugo Rodallega of Colombia has scored more in the history of this tournament. That was 11 back in 2005. Well, Mateus and the kid Perales both have their first.
Well, whose name will we be talking about in a few years' time? Because you mentioned that wonderful player Neymar, Phil, and there's been a lot of others come through this tournament just very recently. Alexander Pato, of course, Sandro, Willian, Lucas Leiva, Oscar, and Lucas Moura. None more so than Neymar. Is there any of that sort of ability out there in the yellow shirts? Well, he's one of them, and Nielsen. But it's been Mateus that has looked the brightest of them all so far. Yeah, they come again.
Ball wide. Jamilson sneaks it in, and an off-balance shot from Marcos Jr. squirts wide.
A lovely ball played into stride. Look at this again. Wonderful consideration from the number 9, the Sao Paulo man. Lovely little delicate touch pass right into the feet of the onrushing supporting player, Marcos Jr.
Ray, you talk about some of the more recent players who have shined in this tournament. Some very familiar other faces. Adriano, Everton, Cavanaghi, Cavani more recently, and then going back to the days of Romario himself and the great Enzo Francescoli. That's something, I mean, you have a European championship, but somehow it just seems to lack that sizzle that they have in South America. Difference makers all over the board for every team. And thinking back to even one of the teams that these two will be competing against, Bolivia, with that great Tawichi Academy. Two guys you know very well, and Jaime Moreno, Marco Echeverri. You never know where the stars are going to come out. 2 minutes into the second half. No change for either side. Luis Gustavo back all the way to the right in goal. Wallace, Luan, Doria, Mansour. From right to left, Misael, Anderson, and Mateus, Marcos, Adjamilson, and Adrian. 4-3-3 favored by Emerson Avila. More of a 4-2-3-1 favored by Ecuador. Cuero, Velasco, Leon, Ordóñez, and Ramirez. Grueso and Corroso. And then Uchuari And Murillo flanking Ceballos with the youngster Perales up front. Ray, the question, I think, for Rosell, the question for Ecuador, can they restart the engine? Because they were doing close to dominating Brazil until the goal.
I don't think they've turned their engine off at all. They just got really undone by a set of very unfortunate bounces and slips. It was really rather good fortune from Brazil rather than good design, but they have been showing that they have that design in them. There's been times where Brazil has really put it together, but it's just been flashes, and the consistency has been played from Ecuador in more of a controlled manner and in a wonderful South American way. When I say controlled, it's not about holding shape. A lot of times in Latin football, it's about letting go and expressing, and that's what Ecuador is putting on display against the might of Brazil here.
And that was Christian Ramirez taking on the Chelsea-bound Wallace and drawing a foul. I don't even think he knows what a razor blade looks like, Miguel Perales. And he's already on the scoreboard and already on the radar. Again, Ramirez spots the opening. Everyone behind that yellow wall. Here the man wearing the goat horns. Beautiful launched crossfield pass. Uchuari sneaks it, but splits the difference. Caroso couldn't stop. Good cover by Velasco.
Passing's not able to take advantage of this pushing on of the Ecuadorians. They're coming at them in numbers, but then when Brazil gets the ball in this early game, they just haven't refined their game in this early stages of this tournament to really take advantage of the spaces left by Ecuador when they're pushing up. And their counter-attacks haven't found their way through either, but very early days.
Driven across. They seem to be swerving a bit. Cueto reaching back to slap it wide. One right back towards Wallace. Good play by Marcos Jr., but Wallace's pass back off target. Mateus taken down by Grueso. This will be a free kick about 35 yards out. Here the shot. Did seem to be swerving back.
A few times the Brazilians have taken the responsibility going route one, and that is in their pure DNA. Said it many, many times. A nation produces long distance shooters like Brazil does, and still young lads having a laugh.
There's a difference though, Ray. They take route one in Ferraris. Mateus already calm. Heck, he's already been to a World Cup, if only in spirit. Three men on the wall, a couple of windows left and right as Darwin Cuero nervously leaning to the back post. Adrian, the other player. Mateus Oliveira couldn't get it over the wall. Little Alphonse and Gaston, and Mansour finally comes away with it. Rolled in for Anderson. The Santos attacker tried to go through the legs, but kept shut by Leon. Smart play. They'll get the goal kick. Temperature dropping a bit closer to 90 now that sun has set, but way out just in the foothills of the Andes. This is actually about a half mile of altitude, so you have that mixed in with the heat. You see the smile on Leon's face. Probably the first one he's had since he knocked it into his net. You're having fun. Jamilson already on the scoreboard for O3 from Sao Paulo. Still waiting to get on the board here. Adrian. Nice weaving play.
Well played.
Velasco tried to stay with him. Adrian wrong foots it, overlap, and an outside of the boot cross for Mansour. Beautiful idea. A la Roberto Carlos here.
Well, this is the player who sets him up, though. That's a lovely ball into stride as well for Mansour. to put across, and he says, hey, somebody's got to read me here. There's only one place this is going to go. It's wonderful from Adrian. Then he sees his supporting player on the outside of the foot pass, and that's a tremendous ball across the face of goal. A good play by Mansour and Adrian.
Adrian leaning back, and this could be a problem. Velasco looks in some pain. This somewhat of an agricultural region in Argentina. Lots of grapes, lots of olives. In fact, this is some of the most prized wine growing country in the Americas, between San Juan and Mendoza, the site of Group A. That's going to be a big loss if Velasco can't continue. Appears to be okay, at least okay enough to give it another shot.
You've got to remember the 20-year-olds, Phil, 20-year-old and under, man, the bones are still bending.
Ball launched, looking for Perales, who was leaning in. Foul called against the 17-year-old. Eleven-time champions. Ecuador's best has been third, which they've achieved 3 times, most recently 2011. Velasco appears to be okay. Smart header up the line for Uchuati. Here's Caroso, touched into the middle. The ball not finding Ceballos.
2 of the key players, Caroso and Grueso, doing a wonderful job patrolling in between Murillo and Uchari. Why they're working like demons to contain and pressurize the yellow shirts, and really doing a fine job. It's been a key component of Ecuador, and so strong at the back. They don't seem to be too worried, forcing Brazil to shoot over distance. And the boys at the back, Leon and Ordóñez, are being able to contain the lightning pace of the likes of Mateus and Adrian just enough. He's still going to be tested as their legs get tired, but there's a nice economy about this Ecuador side. It really is.
As you point out, really, Leon and Ordóñez have not been bothered much because of the defense around them. Long cross, glancing header, Velasco overrunning it. Anderson blasted, but off target. You talk about Grueso, just 17, but he's a regular starter at Barcelona. One of their arch rivals, Emelec, is where Caroso plays. Ray, he's 18. He's already played 41 games for Emelec this year. We talk about the youth policy in Brazil. We've talked about it with Colombia, but Ecuador has been investing a lot in youth, and it's paying off. Just over 10 minutes into the second half. It's a little give and take for now. Brazil has not been able to dominate.
Good turn.
But they're always one pass away. Adrian, he'll get a second chance, but not a third. Off of Caroso, up steps Luan, player down behind, and after the delay, Huitrago blows the whistle. Very nice to see here in San Juan. We've even had the chance to see San Martin of San Juan as they try and climb back towards the top flight, re-energized by this beautiful stadium.
Well, here's a substitution coming in, Phil, and now we're seeing the strength as Marcos Jr. goes out and Fred comes in, Leandro comes in. So the strength being exhibited by Brazil. Ecuador doesn't have this firepower to turn to quite as much on their bench. With the Brazilians sending in like for like, but Felipe Anderson in his opening bow here in this tournament, got to be stated, a little disappointing. There'll be more to come from him. He's a quality player, but he didn't show up too hot tonight. He is a Santos wearing number 10. So you don't get more of a glorified frame around you than that, wearing the number 10 for Santos and Brazil. Felipe Anderson just didn't quite come to full bull power tonight, did he?
No. Morales limping a bit, trying to walk it off. Closest he came to looking like Neymar was that haircut, but he'll be back. Well, so much for Sao Paulo. They've gone Gaúcho. Fred from Inter, Leandro from Grêmio. Whipped in, headed down. Still loose at the top of the 18. Ceballos tries to dribble in. Now it's blasted. Rebound parried. Off woodwork, but I think the flag had blown. What a shot from Caruso. And Ceballos almost turned it into magic.
Oh, Caruso is onto it. Quick as a flash. And the whistle goes as this second follow-up is attempted by Ceballos. It's kept alive here. A wonderful strike home, and Brazil's keeper Luis Gustavo just does enough to keep that red-hot hit out.
Far side, Carlos Astroza, the Bolivian. Can't blame Ceballos, but if he just stands there, he had Murillo behind him, who would have been onside. But against Brazil, you take your chances where and when you can. 60 minutes in, 30 minutes to go.
Great awareness, though, by Ecuador around the top of that box, fighting off and holding off the Brazilian shirts for that wonderful hit.
And of note, they have not gone to Rafinha, the creative midfielder. He's still on the bench. Instead, going with the attacking mid, Fred Rodriguez, born in Belo Horizonte, but leaving Mineiro for Inter a couple of years ago, where he's a regular player for that legendary side. And the Grêmio winger, Weberson Oliveira Leandro, in his third season with Grêmio. You can think about that, 19 years of age, second season as a pro, already 40 games. After the foul, Wallace getting set to launch this one in. Ecuador realizes 30 minutes more to maintain their focus. Ball snapped up and over. And Ray, you always want to get the victory, but in many ways, the way these tournament brackets are set up, you try and beat everyone else, and you try and not lose by much against an Argentina or a Brazil. And that gives you an idea what an advantage Chile got last night, and what an advantage Ecuador could get tonight if they can actually get points against the Giants. Top three teams in the five-team groups will advance to the hexagonal final round, with the top four teams earning a ticket to Turkey. Unlike the last championship, there's no Olympics looming, so it's just the under-20 World Championship. Just. Back for Wallace. Already playing with the yellow, but doing it well. Off Murillo and out. Well, Ecuador does have one talented player if they want to put him out there, and that's the Mexican-based Elias Trillo on the bench.
Well, I think they're all talented players in this Ecuador side, Phil. There may be some unheralded players for sure. There's a lot of these names being representing for Ecuador's lovely coach, Bracero. They've been making names for themselves here and taking the eye. Well, it's a combination of it, though, isn't it? They really are complementary to one another. A wonderful spacing between the defense and midfield. And the danger man up top, this real cherub of a youngster, Paredes, who sadly makes his exit. And let's hope that that's not too serious and it's more of a precaution, because, as I said, Ecuador don't have that real depth to pick from, and this is a long tournament, Phil.
It's going to be Estrella checking in, the 19-year-old.
Take a look again, this ball goes up, he challenges it, and then just comes down and feels something go.
In his calf. But even that can keep you out for a while in this tournament, while long is not that long.
It's not just the length of the tournament either, it's the conditions. These are testing conditions for any athlete. These players are being pushed at a high temperature, and the humidity is, you can see it in the trainers. There's a definite sheen to all the viewers or the spectators, let alone the players.
Ball smashed down into the center of the park. Ceballos let it bounce, probably shouldn't have. Played well by Ecuador. Down the line, Velasco keeps it going, but out of play. He had Uchuati, but couldn't use him. Estrella came up from Rocafuerte before moving to Mexico. Young under-20 star. Leon. Funny hop on that. Need to communicate a bit more, maybe not panic, but concern through Ecuador. Final 25 minutes. Trickles across, and Ramirez will retreat and defend. Giving chase Ceballos.
Good ball. Magic.
Back heel. Blasted, but there's Leon blocking Leandro. So close.
It's Mateus with the back heel, if I'm not mistaken. But wonderful awareness. The ball that's played into Mateus is a jazzer. Then a back heel. Beautiful touch. It's Ed Nielsen that plays the back heel again for Leandro. Again, good awareness and covering by Ecuador's defense.
Curling ball. An awkward punch by Cuero, throwing his body in front. Good play by Uchuati. Not much of a body, but enough. Tracks across, Luan playing it back. Couldn't find a teammate, though.
A great searching ball. He finds its target. The second pullback isn't quite as good, but tremendous crossfield pass by Luan. Good ball.
Into the corner.
Got a lot to do.
Murillo. Smart play, but the legs giving out as he tried to cross it. All right, let me ask you this. You're Rosero, you're Ecuador. Do you keep pushing forward? At what point do you say a point is enough? This is just the first match. Well, squared for Wallace. Leandro almost makes something from nothing. Good turn, Ramirez. Into the corner where he's bumped, but he's not going to get the call. Novato, the Colombian linesman, was there right on top of it.
Like he was getting a little push from the back right here.
I would agree. Normally that's one that is called. Some might argue if the colors of the jerseys were reversed, it would have been. Slapped away Cuero. That was dangerous, but now he is down, slamming into Doria as he comes out to punch it clear.
And it drops into a tough area for Cuero to come and claim against the big man. Right here, this goalkeeper is brave. He comes, he's committed. He's not going to change his mind, and he gets the job done. Gets both fists to the ball. And Doria collides with him, and there's concern here. He could be off.
Well, they've already had to replace Perales on one end of the field due to injury.
Doria certainly didn't do anything wrong. Stood his ground, attacked the ball, but the keeper, Guerrero, was wonderful with his committed effort to get there. But he's paid the price.
Well, right now, that magic spray used to be a water bottle in your days.
Yeah, if you were lucky.
And there's Mateus. Maybe dreams of Turkey a bit too early, but just a wake-up call for Brazil. Christian Onya available on the bench for
Darwin Quero.
Ecuador.
Had a good game in between the sticks for Ecuador. He's been called on a few times. Nice, lithe build for a keeper. Plenty of spring. He's been brave coming off of his line as well. His decisions have been quick. He's been sharp. El Nacional man.
Strong again, although looked like Velasco might have gotten a hit to the head in the effort. Back for the tiny Ramirez. To Ceballos. Still a star in the making at Liga de Quito. Keeping his feet nicely. Murillo. Ramirez now forced to retreat. The header off target from Grueso.
Nothing conservative about Ecuador, to answer your question from earlier, Phil, and I think that's right from Bracero. We're building in the confidence of these young men in the blue shirts against the glamour boys of Brazil, who are hot, heavy favourites coming into this game. And Ecuador, you said it, stood up to them beautifully, and they've been very, very resolute in their defending. And see if they can take the place of the big hitman Paredes, how much he'll be missing in action, but they're going about their business the same way. They haven't changed a note. I think that's probably the wisest thing. You tend to alter things against a team like Brazil and take a more defensive approach. It's a little bit like pouring gasoline on a fire. Well, it can get you the other way as well, but credit the coach of Ecuador and credit his players for keeping at the mantra of playing conservatively, but playing with a little bit of fizz going forward. They are supporting their men in attack.
Very well, there have been a few chances that Brazil has had. The best chances that have not gone in have come from Ecuador.
Yeah.
So another chance here for Adjamilson. Played back for Misael. Soft chip onside.
Good ball.
Trying to find their way around.
Great pass.
Headed back against the grain, but over the bar. So close for Adrian.
It's a poor header, and he knows it. Poor kid. It's a beautiful ball to find him. Take a look at this. Wonderful control. Comes back. Admilson keeps it alive. And then this beautiful searching pass is pinpoint accurate. It's a gorgeous ball. Keeps it flowing. It's Fred, excuse me. Picks him out with really tremendous accuracy. Beautiful placement from Fred to Adrian, who's just loses his focus with his header.
Now a chance on the overlap, but it will trickle out. Which way? In favor of Ecuador. Estrella heading forward, as is Uchuari, who's been a lot quieter in the second half. Maybe a chance here. Hasn't seen as much of the ball. Again, just 5'4". He was hoping something would open up.
Good ball.
More than makes up for it there. Murillo. Ramirez. The confidence of Rosero's kids lifting it forward. Just needed a bit of bend. The mini tree, they're calling him. Well, the mini tree bearing fruit here in the early going. Still approaching the final quarter hour. Adrian, not enough on it. Another chance wide for Mansour. Mateus inside and pocket picked Leon.
And look, a lovely movement by Adrian. Sweet feet, the kid with the number 8 on his back. Nice balance and sharp after his pass. Gets it into stride on the return, but just popped away from him.
Talk about the 11 titles. Well, the last 3 in a row, looking for their 4th straight in the South American under-20s. Wallace. From a Brazilian perspective, Ray, in some ways it's also nice to get a tough match in your opener, especially if you can escape with a point or 3. Kind of a wake-up call if you can survive.
This will be a huge point if Ecuador can hold on to this, but they've scored both goals in this game, and
good point.
Certainly well within their compass to claim all 3, but the Brazilians always seem to have a way of reaching in and pulling out an extra trick.
This is about 35 yards out, and it looks like Doria, the big center back, ready to pull out a Dani Alves. Adrian with the right boot, the foil. The 18-year-old Cuero about 2 yards off his line, leaning slightly right of center. Adrian. Doria slapped away and then pouncing on it before it could cross. A bit of trickery from Brazil.
Wonderful
Cuero
from
holds
Doria. And this is how they rehearse it. Everybody expecting the direct hit. They go with a rolling ball and Doria gets plenty of power, fizz and placement. A hopping ball 3 or 4 times, and this wonderful goalkeeper with soft hands pounces. Wonderful from Cuero to deny Doria. He did everything right. Believe me, that's how they'll draw it up. Give the goalkeeper something to spill. And he absolutely fizzed that one, and you saw from them wonderful replays the ball bouncing 3 or 4 times before it came into Cuero's area, and the kid did good. Wonderful soft hands from Darwin.
Launched long, acrobatically intercepted Ramirez, battling Ajamilson, but it's Ramirez who comes away with it. Now a chance for Velasco. Ordóñez, blood pouring out of his forehead, into the middle, rifled in, but Luis Gustavo able to stop it.
Well, this ball's going to have to be kicked out quickly here. This kid needs attention. His head, as you said,
let's just say his boxing career might not be there.
Should certainly be on the inside. It's just a clash of heads. He gets the elbow across his face as well. And the situation requires urgent attention. Looks a lot worse than it is. He's just been caught on the side. It's opened up. Might be a little bit behind his ear. Might be a little tear, but he's got to get off the pitch. And this is a good footballer. He's been strong all night long. Ordóñez. This is a wonderful replay of this hit. That's magnificent power. A wonderful rolling ball to hit, and then he lifts off it. And there you see the great soft hands, as I said. Doesn't play it for the onrushing Brazilians. This boy does beautiful and smothers it. There's the onrushing player, absolutely brilliant by Darwin, wearing the goalkeeper's jersey. Good looking lad, playing like a titan in between the sticks tonight for Ecuador.
And again, when you think about it, with that injury, the ball all the way down on the Brazilian end. When it's returned, it's all the way on the Ecuadorian end, and Brazil wins it back.
Yep, pushing on here now.
Now it's a makeshift defense. Could also trying to drop into that gap left by Ordóñez as he gets treatment. Estrella trying to get something at the other end, and Cuero with a chance to hold on. Adrian has been substituted out.
Good performance by Adrian.
But there
certainly nicely involved, plenty of movement from him. Loved the way that kid picked his spaces after he played the ball off. There's a talent. There's that scope about him, that young boy, Adrian. Lovely awareness, Phil. There's a real good vision of the play in front of him.
Ball slammed away. It's Bruno Pereira, the 6-foot forward out of Cruzeiro, who's scoring nearly a goal a game in his limited time with Botafogo. And he knows they need a goal here. A point, nice, but it will be a bashful Brazil, to say the least, if this score doesn't change.
Certainly be looking at 2 points lost against Johnny's team, the architect of the beautiful go-ahead goal. He had his lovely little fingerprints all over that divine pass into Paredes. And again, wonderful control on the run, strong on it, protecting it. Lovely little footballer.
Both Brazil and Ecuador in action in the next. Remember, they're 5-team groups as Ordóñez bandaged up, just missing the fife and drum. Launching that long. Nice by Nico Mateus. So there's a bye team. This time around, it's Bolivia, Uruguay, Peru to follow this right here on beIN Sport. Ball won back by Ramirez to Ordóñez. Brazil will be taking on Uruguay, and Ecuador against Venezuela. Venezuela, the idle team. Bolivia in Group A. Ecuador, Venezuela in a couple days' time, the second match. Brazil with the bye in round 3. The one problem for Ecuador, and we kind of talked about it yesterday, their bye comes in the 5th and final round, so they don't get a break. They have to get the job done, advancing as a top 3 team in the first 4 matches.
I think the precise way this team passes the ball, once they do win it, and it's not just in close proximity of each other, they find each other at over distance, and then there's even support on the end of those passes as well. Johnny again going for absolute gold in the top far corner. He sees his target ahead, he sees the defender, and he's going for it. And again, it looks well wide, but a little bit extra dynamic on it, and that's curling top corner, and you know that kid's capable of it, given how his passes have been here tonight.
Well, the young phenom almost with the goal of the year from his half of midfield, but it kisses off the post.
Yeah, magnificent vision.
It's Junior Sornosa, another legacy, the 18-year-old out of Independiente Jose Terán. Sornosa, his job, bring it across the finish line. By the way, not bad to look at your bench and find Sornosa. Spurs, one of the teams that's trying to get his signature.
Well won here.
And again, good from Ecuador. The more they can keep it pinned in the Brazilian end, the more likely they'll come away with at least 1 point.
Yeah, but they're leaving a lot of spaces open behind Phil, but they are brave.
Oh, pops up past 2, giving chase Sornosa. That was close to a second. Up the line, holding on Leandro.
Hey,
Mateus.
again, shut down, forced to play it back, and then allows Ecuador to regroup. Brazil just not able to hit them on that textbook warp speed counter-attack tonight. Not this team in blue. These tournaments are so intriguing, aren't they? You know, you wonder how these teams are going to come together after having their cage rattled, and then the underdogs come in. How are they going to perform when their confidence builds against even lesser opponents? That's when the shocks start.
Grueso tried to acrobatically clear it. Sometimes the simple path will be best. Misael. Again, that spot.
Defending again, wonderful tenacity from Ecuador leads to this, and they'll try to get some in support. That's lovely football.
Estrella,
great
into
play.
The 18. Wallace. And Wallace looking for a foul.
Very close. No, there was no foul there. That's why Wallace was very fortunate. This wonderful attack here. And Sonosa leads it.
Misael gets cleated as Estrella trying to win it back.
It's a hard run. Drives past this one and then nearly bamboozles Wallace. And Wallace gets lucky right here. Traps right in between his legs. If that one had been kissed on, Sonosa would have been in.
Misael, fortunate that leg wasn't planted deeper, but Estrella fighting for every loose ball. You can see why the Warriors liked his personality as well as his skills. Nodded back into the middle, a chance for Mateus.
It's a good ball.
Settles it for Adjemielsen, tries to sneak it back.
Yeah, they've been trying all night. They'll try again here. No way through. Look at this mesh of blue shirts.
Dragging it across the 18, whipping it back.
That's what they're forced to do as well. They've got to strike speculatively because all the windows of opportunity getting locked right, left, centre by the blue shirts of Ecuador. Take a look. Nowhere for him to go. Look at the numbers in front of him. Nobody running off. And anybody that is running off, the passing lanes are being closed by these very aware Ecuador defenders in front of the wonderful Darwin.
Every single match,
good ball from him as well.
So far has had a wonderful storyline, and this story not yet done. Poke for Uchwadi. Rolls it wide for Ramirez, back towards the middle, and just in time. Uchwadi had a hard time in the second half on that right wing, so
he had
to the left.
Johnny Uchari as well, who'd started that attack. He had him open inside of the box.
Into the middle for Misael. Much sharper in the second half for the
movement. We
Grêmio
take
man.
this so much for granted. Look at this. It's a heavy ball. He'll still get there. No.
Almost.
But
they had Ramirez spinning around.
Energy exhibited by these two sides. We take it for granted. And these are young men. 17, 18, 19-year-old. The fitness levels absolutely phenomenal. And isn't it just athleticism? This is wonderful, brilliant footballing ability on display. It's been a wonderful game of football for these 85 minutes. Is there a winner out there?
Almost. Strong challenge. The kid won't give up. Uchwadi lifting it forward for Ramirez, still in play.
Lovely play.
So the sombrero and a tip of the cap inside. Needed more on it, Corozo.
Look at the harassing to get it back, though. Look at this.
And think about this, 87th minute, temperatures near 100 degrees, and both teams are going tooth and nail. Sonosa again against Misael, who's been abused over the last 5. Don't forget, immediately following this match, Uruguay against Peru with an express extra with highlights in between.
And Peru looking to make some noise in this tournament by all accounts. Evidently got a lot of good young talent in stock, and you know the Uruguayans are going to come with their typical blend of flair and tenacity. You've been a little bit disappointed by Brazil, Phil. Or you've been more surprised by Ecuador?
I don't know if it's surprised. I'm impressed by Ecuador as they make their third substitution.
You've been surprised. Come on.
Okay, a little surprised. I think, but more surprised, the reaction of Brazil. You can still see the skill here or there, but there are second thoughts. I mean, normally with Brazil, and we've seen flashes of it, including just moments ago, it's second nature, but now some of those passes they're not quite sure. Steven Arboleda will check in. Final substitution.
Ecuador's come a long way. Some defending here to be done. Strange position. This one's going to be flighted in. Deep in front of Darwin, who's waiting to attack Fred's kick.
Arboleda, 18, another member of that under-17 squad from a couple of seasons ago.
Big white bandage of Ordonez, easy to pick out.
Well, launched towards that left side of the box. Second effort keeps it alive. And Ordonez there to sweep it across, but it had already crossed the goal line as we approach the 90th minute. Maybe a push on Luan to boot. Regardless, restart for Ecuador, and smartly not in any hurry to take it. Take their point, go away, knowing 3 more coming in quick succession. Just a day's break in between. And again, Arboleda, the recent substitute, another member of that tiny Jose Terán side, along with Ramirez and Leon, who's been a rock on that back line despite the own goal. Can they sneak a winner? A few more injuries, maybe 4 minutes to be added. Beautiful touch. Overlap Velasco, but dispossessed. Maybe they push forward a bit too much. Leandro with Fred in front. Leandro. Good read by Caroso. Every time it looks like Ecuador is about to snap, they bounce back. And I guarantee you, Ray, you kind of alluded to it when we started the second half. Every paper in Brazil, because the danger of being a Brazilian coach is there's about 180 million more of them out there. Every Brazilian paper is going to be pointing out the fact that Brazil did not score. It was an own goal.
Well, the scoring drought is one thing, Phil, but I think it's more the way they've played tonight. Being surprised by Ecuador and impressed big time, but a little disappointed in Brazil, got to say. The best players tonight, Matias and Adrian, looked good, but there was a couple of players, big names and big expectations, and maybe the pressure just told a little bit much on opening night. Opening night jitters, come the bright lights, they didn't quite show up. Not more so than Felipe Anderson, number 10, and even Admilson. You see the skill, I mean, you see it easily. A brilliant number 9, he's got it all right, but it hasn't been really brought to the fore here.
A little touch and a late whistle. The assistant on the near side, Navarro, bringing the attention to the referee.
And it's part of the problem in the wear the shirt of Brazil. The pressure and the expectations are monumental, way above any other team. Maybe save Argentina, but Ecuador came in here tonight and gave Avia's men everything to worry about and fight for, and Ecuador met them toe-to-toe, but a little bit more defending for Ecuador here.
Well, launched across the 18, will carry Doria, the big center back, but dispossessed by Velasco. A little bump, play on, says the ref, kept in play. Nope, a push, and it looks like a long advantage. Nope, calls the throw in instead. So Brazil, one last chance into the 18. Ball bounces, kept alive, Mateus. They'll settle for the throw. Ajmilson leaving it for Wallace. And they won't get the chance.
Well fought game, and Brazil fortunate, rather very fortunate in my opinion, to come away claiming an own goal That was their only way out. The long-distance shooting from Doria's men was on display, but the defending of that man at the back, Ordóñez, in front of Darwin in goal for Ecuador, was top class. They played beautiful football, Brazilian style Ecuador. All Ecuadorians should be proud as punch of their men. Brazil will be back. They'll be back sharper, and Nielsen will be bringing it the next time. They're better. They've got a lot of improving to do. But Ecuador, top class.
People talk who is the best. To me, it's not the point. It's about to trying your best and never stop dreaming. My journey began when I was a young boy with big ambition. The following years, joy, delight, heartache, heartbreak, footballing friends, footballing foes, and football and fathers. And of course, the moments that you never forget.